Yes, Happy New Year, people. Hope everyone had a good festive period and everyone's all well rested. Started the new year 2015. Everyone hopefully back on their grind, working hard, trying to achieve those goals this year. Enough talking, get with the action. Just to introduce myself, welcome to the Words to Wisdom blog, video blog. My name is Emeka. I'm a writer. I'm also a public speaker and a lecturer as well. I normally connect with my audiences through my writing on my blog at emekabnc.com, but with a meaningful conversation I had with my brother just a few days ago, we decided that, you know what, having a video, having something people can connect with visually would also be a good idea, just to get my messages out there and just to spark up conversation about different issues, especially relating to young people around the UK, London, just around the world as well. So hopefully you guys can get involved in the conversation as well. Send me your messages, and yeah, let's get this conversation started. Straight into some of the reasons why I love teaching. 7 reasons to be specific. All right, the first reason I want to talk about is sharing knowledge. Sharing knowledge, I feel like it's paramount. It's very important, not just in an academic setting, but just as adults in general life, in terms of just life learning, life coaching, because I feel like it's important to be able to share those knowledges, share the wisdom, share some of the experiences we've had in life to some of the younger generation, to make sure they don't make the same mistakes that we've seen being made by ourselves or people around us. And I feel like that's paramount, and especially within the academic setting as well, which is what I'm paid to do, to transfer some of these knowledges that will help these young people get the qualifications that they need in the future. And so that process of seeing a young person achieve something within a short space of time or within a long space of time, regardless of what potential they thought they had, and being able to tap into their potential so they can achieve. And you know, I love doing that, and that's something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm lucky enough to be able to do that on a day-to-day basis. The second reason I love teaching is because I'm able to build positive relationships with young people. They can understand who I am, I can understand who they are, and then we can then find a common ground and build a positive rapport. And so I'm trying to be somebody that they can trust, and we can then go from there. Building that positive relationship is half of the work, because then you get able to teach someone that respects you and you respect them, and then you're in a more friendly environment. And having that rapport with a young person is very important, and without that, your job becomes much harder. The third reason I love teaching is because I'm able to lead by example. A lot of the times teachers were told that we're talking directly to the young people and we're not showing any type of compassion and we're not leading by example. But you know, for me personally, I feel like, you know, we're given an opportunity where we're telling them what to do, we're giving them advice, we're doing this, we're doing that. But if we're not leading by example, if we're not leading by what we're saying, you know, we lose all credibility. And so for me, being able to sort of lead by example, if I'm telling you this, is because, you know, it's something I've done and it's something that I've seen, and hopefully me telling you that would then have a positive effect in your life as well. So I think that's very important for me personally, and so that's the third reason I love teaching, because I'm able to lead by example. So the fourth reason why I love teaching is because I generally care about the success and the progression of all of my students. You know, regardless of what background they come from or what their behaviors are like in the classroom, something I try to demonstrate every single lesson, every time I interact with them, is that regardless of how they are, or what they're doing, or whether they believe in themselves or not, I genuinely care. And hopefully that translates into them wanting to become more motivated and wanting to help themselves achieve something academically as well, whether it's inside the classroom, whether it's outside the classroom. So I feel like young people can see, and sometimes as teachers we're very transparent, because if we genuinely don't care, they can understand that as well. When I was a student, I had some teachers who would openly tell us that they don't care either way they get paid. And so that's something very negative for a young person to hear as well. So if they feel like you don't care about them, why should they care about themselves? If you don't believe in them as somebody who's supposed to be teaching them, then, you know, what chances are they going to do or have in believing in themselves? So for me, that's the fourth reason. You know, genuinely care about their success and their progression is another reason why I love teaching, because I love to see the fact that they know that I believe in them. The fifth reason I would say is planting that seed of motivation. You know, it's quite important to make sure that young people feel motivated, because there's nothing worse than having students who are not motivated to doing everything. So you can have the best lessons, you can prepare the most exciting lessons, if you have students that are not motivated, regardless of how much planning you've done, regardless of how good you think your energizers are, how good you think the outcome of that lesson should be. If you don't have students who are motivated, then it makes your job 10 times harder. So finding new ways to plant those seeds to try and motivate young people. It was a challenge within itself, but it's a challenge that I like to take on every single day, because, you know, once we've crossed that barrier and I can see they're now engaged and they're now motivated to want to learn, then everybody wins. Because I remember when I was growing up myself, one thing that I needed to explain to myself was that I needed to find that point of when I needed to be self-motivated. Not the fact that my mum tells me to, you know what, Emeka, you need to go and pick up your book and read your books. And when she tells me to do those things, I'm not motivated to do it. It's like until I found the point where, you know what, I had the reason myself to want to actually pick up those books and to actually want to learn. That's when the real learning took place. Not because I was forced, not because my teacher said so. It's because I was able to find that something within myself. And hopefully, you know, we can then plant those seeds so those young people themselves can then find that point where they realize, you know what, I'm not doing it for anybody else. I'm doing it for myself, and I'm doing it because I want to succeed. And so once they've realized that, then it makes your job a lot easier, because then they come to your classrooms self-motivated and willing to learn, willing to make mistakes, and willing to try again once they've made those mistakes. And so that will be the fifth thing that I love about teaching, is being able to plant those seeds to help motivate students for the future. All right, the sixth thing, which is very important to me, and it's something that I've been doing and I've always been talking about with my friends and my brothers and just like-minded people, really, is just breaking those barriers to learning. A question that we ask ourselves is a lot of the time is, how do we teach people that don't want to learn? And a lot of the time when we're talking about breaking barriers to learning, I feel like it's because there's so much outside of the classroom that is affecting some of the young people that we're trying to teach, especially in the sort of the environment that I'm teaching, and young people that have been socially excluded from every educational institute that they've ever been in. And so they don't believe, for some of them, where we are, what we do with them is a last resort for them. And so they need to understand that, wow, nobody else has given me any try or cared about me, so this is my last try being in this college. And so for me, it's breaking down those barriers. It can take a long period of time. It can take a lot of one-to-ones, and not everyone has got the skills and the capacity to be able to do that, because sometimes it's not within your job description. All you're told to do is to teach. But I feel like if you have those barriers, some of those barriers might be something like the home life, peer pressure, lack of self-confidence within themselves, you know, especially in London, sort of gang affiliate issues and broken homes, so many different reasons, stereotyping, identity issues, you know, lack of motivation just in general. And so I feel like some of these issues, those barriers need to be broken down. Once you've been able to break down those barriers, then, like I said before, they get to the point where you've planted that seed of motivation. You know, it makes your job a lot easier, because then they're now in your classroom wanting to learn, and then everything else that's outside is now being fixed or on the way to being fixed, because they're able to talk about it, identify it. It might not be you that they talk about it with. It might be somebody else in different agencies, different members of staff, but being able to work together. But personally, I like to help break down those barriers by talking to young people outside of the classroom about, you know, stuff that's got nothing to do with the college, nothing to do with academics, but just trying to understand why some of the things, some of the issues that they have, and why it's stopping them from learning. And once I'm able to get past those barriers, and they can get past those barriers as well, it makes their learning experience within the college, within my classroom, a lot more enjoyable. And so that's one thing that I'm passionate about. And so I was having a discussion with one of my colleagues not too long ago, and we were talking about some of these walls that we're trying to break down, these imaginary walls of these barriers that I'm speaking of right now. And it's something that sometimes you can't measure the success of it, because we might be the ones who helped break down these barriers, but they continue to make some of these same mistakes even within our care. It's not up until they might have left, you know, our college and further down the line that they realize some of the skills that we gave them at that point in time has now helped them shape their future in a different way. We will never see that success because it's happened long after they've been with us, but we were part of the foundation who helped break down those walls. And, you know, that's why you just have to stay consistent, because you never know who your words has affected. You never know who really goes back to think about some of the things you've said. It could be a month ago, it could be a year ago, 2 years ago. You just never know. So for me, it's all about keeping consistent and trying to break down those barriers, because We never know how far in the future those walls will eventually come down. So some people have the attitude of thinking, you know what, it's useless working with some of these young people because they just don't listen. But I'm of a different opinion, and so this is another reason, the seventh reason why I love teaching, because I'm in a position where I can help break down those barriers. But another thing that comes to mind is, like I've mentioned it earlier, will be about the teachers. Some of the teachers that I had some great teachers, and I have some teachers that I won't forget as well, because of their lack of belief in us as students and some of the things they said to us about never being successful. And you know, I try to be everything they were not, basically, you know. So I want to make sure that I'm connecting with students in a whole different light, making sure they always know whether they believe in themselves or not, that I believe in them, and then one day hopefully they can believe in themselves. And so that's some things that I never had from my teachers, even though I would say I was self-motivated, and some of the positive teachers who were in my school, you know, what they said outweighed some of the negative stuff that I was hearing from them. So for me, it didn't affect me too much, but for other people within sort of my year, I can see that affected them. So just making sure that I'm not like that, and this is why I love teaching. And if I ever feel like any of the 7 things that I've mentioned are no longer within me, then I'll look into doing a different profession. I'll leave the profession of teaching, because I won't feel like I'm doing those young people or their parents any justice, because we're supposed to be the gatekeepers of the next generation, you know, inspiring new minds. And if we're not able to do that because we genuinely care about them, we genuinely care about their progression, then I don't see why I should continue doing the job. I need to step aside and let somebody who's fresh, who continues to believe, do the job. So for me, I have different mediums of trying to engage young people. Like I said, I love to write. I've only been in the teaching profession just a year now, and I'm already loving that. And I've been a public speaker for a while now as well. And so using all these mediums to connect with young people, to connect with different audiences, is something that I love doing. And so my ambition within myself for 2015 and onwards is to use all these mediums to try and inspire millions of young people around the UK, around the world. And I'm not going to stop until I achieve those goals. And so whether I'm doing that with my writing, whether I'm doing that with public speaking, whether I'm doing that in the classroom, just stay consistent, just keep going. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. I'm going to be doing some of these videos on a regular basis as well, just trying to share some of my ideas, some of the things that I'm thinking about on a regular basis, which I normally write down. But like I said, I'm going to step into the video world and try and connect with a lot more people by just making these short videos, and let's get in this conversation started. So if you agree with some of the things that I've said, please comment below. If you don't, again, please comment. But as long as it's something, you know, constructive, let's have the conversation. I'm all for other people having different perspectives, different opinions, but let's just do it in a respectful manner. Then, you know, let's keep it going. Let's keep the conversation going way beyond these videos in the comment bar. So please subscribe to the channel, Words to Wisdom. You can also subscribe to my website at emekabnc.com. And yeah, let's get this conversation started. 2015, I wish you all a happy new year. You know, if you've written your goals down, make sure you've put it on your wall and you're reading it every single day. You're seeing it every single day and you're striving for it every single day. Let it not just be talk, let it be action this year as well. So hopefully everyone is getting ready to get back into the work mode, or get back into going to school, to college, to university. Either way, I wish you a very happy new year, and I'll see you next week.